Both of my daughters no longer talk to me. I have about 660k, will die soon. I want to write a will, crafted in a way to create maximum animosity between them, so that they would waste the whole inheritance and all their money fighting each other. What is the best way to write such a will?
Wow, I wonder why this woman's daughters no longer talk to her. She seems like such a nice person. There's absolutely nothing that I can imagine that she has done or would do that would make them want to cut contact with her. If there is any reassurance here, it's that I can only think that if both of her daughters have had the wherewithal to cut contact with her, that they would also, be able to communicate with each other to understand what is going on and figure out something out with this will. This video brought to you by my YouTube members and patrons. Thank you guys. How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to another subreddit video. Today we are going to be returning to r/insane people Facebook. This is a subreddit dedicated to truly insane people. It's gone December now. Technically it is New Year's Eve as of recording this, but it's gone December now. So we're going back into the crazies and we're starting with insane people Facebook. Yay. Very quickly before we begin, I just wanted to mention that YouTube members and patrons, you guys get an extra video every single week for as low as £1 a month. That equates to about 25p per video. So if that is something that interests you, please do consider joining, as it really genuinely helps support the channel so much. Money is very tight at the moment. I'm sure that's not unique to me. That's an everyone problem, but it really does help if you are able to support the channel. However, you should not feel like you have to. I am going to keep making content regardless. Also, I will be live in 2 hours as of this video going up, so if that is something that interests you as well, please do consider coming over to my Twitch, as it's always a good time and I love to see you guys there. Right, rambling out of the way, let's get into the subreddit, shall we? His obsession with me is creepy. I hope he gets the help he desperately needs. Why did you marry your brother? What a weird, racially charged comment from a official government account. I can only imagine that, much like all of the other official government accounts, Donald Trump has personally told them to continue harassing this woman. We really live in that era. We live in that era where American politics is the president telling Twitter accounts to harass people that he doesn't like politically. Using AI to put yourself on Epstein's jet goes so hard. I think 75% of men would gladly go to Epstein's island if they knew for certain they'd never be caught. Well, I guess this proves that I'm non-binary, or at least in that 25% of men, but I am non-binary, so we'll go with that, because no, I'm gonna go out and say I don't think that 75% of any demographic other than pedophiles would want to go to Epstein's island. Again, I mentioned it already, but especially from a, an outsider perspective, a non-American looking in. America is a baffling place, especially right now, because American politics went from, we think that black people deserve equal rights and equal treatments to other people, to conservatives going, we're trying to normalize pedophilia and think that the large majority of men are all pedophiles, despite the fact it's just us. No, conservatives, it's not the large majority of men that are pedophiles, it's just you.
I fucking knew it. They weren't master marble carvings. They were casted human bodies. I fucking knew it. I posted about this years ago, claiming the body language of these marble statues were more dead body-like, not natural poses of the living. I'm a scientist.
It's the I'm a scientist part that really does it for me, because no, you're not. A scientist would be able to recognize multiple things. For one thing, the whole purpose of casting, right? But for another thing, these skills exist. They still exist. They existed then, they exist now. One of my favorite artists that does sculptures is called Liu Li Rong. I apologize if I have pronounced her name wrong, but she does incredibly realistic sculptures based around fabrics and making fabrics look like fabrics, right? Incredible, genuinely incredible. Anyway, there's multiple layers to this. First of all, sculpting is a skill and people honed in that skill and were very good at it. It's as simple as that. But claiming that these were castings and that's how they were able to make them so realistic completely ignores the whole reason you would cast something, right? Because there's multiple things. There's multiple points here. Either it's a dead body that was encased in stone, like encased in marble, but the reason that that's pointless is because if it's as thick as they are implying based on this picture, you would still have to carve out all of the detail. The body underneath would have to be extremely thin, it would have to be malnourished or just be bone or skeleton at that point, right? Which would mean you'd still have to carve out the entire statue and all of its detail. Or alternatively, you use the body to create a mold and then pour into that mold and cast, which it makes more sense because that would preserve the detail. You'd be left with an incredibly realistic casting. However, the body would no longer be in that casting because you remove the body to then add the material. So you wouldn't have like the bone and the flesh underneath. The reality is it's neither. They're marble carvings. They were carved out of marble. You don't cast with marble. They are neither a scientist nor an artist, and they don't understand what goes into either. It's the year 2025. Christianity is no longer relevant. 2025 years since what? Merry Christmas. Holy straw man, Batman. I don't think a single person has ever said Christianity is no longer relevant. Of course, one of the biggest religions worldwide is relevant both in the modern day and historically. Like, yes, that's relevant. It is relevant, the historical and cultural impacts that religion has had. However, that doesn't mean it's true. More people believing in it doesn't make it real, right? Like, I don't believe in Christianity. If you believe in Christianity and you believe it, that's fine, but you have to acknowledge it's a belief, right? It's not an undisputed fact, it's a belief. But it's being like, oh yeah, well, we use the year 2025, therefore that proves Jesus was real, is nonsense, because one, scholar sources would suggest that Jesus was in fact not born on that day. But on top of that, other dating systems exist. It's not the only system used to create the date, right? Like in Japan currently, it is Reiwa Nananen, which means Reiwa 7 or Reiwa 7 year. And in China, it is currently, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, but it's currently the 114th year of the Chinese Republic, or Republic of China, sorry. So like, it's not the only dating system that exists. But on top of that, it's a dating system that exists because people believe that that's when Jesus was born. Not because we have evidence of that, because people believe that. That dating system wasn't introduced the day Jesus was born. It was introduced over 1,000 years later than people think that Jesus was born. Therefore, the argument doesn't make sense. No one's saying that Christianity isn't relevant, but they're saying you shouldn't be able to govern people's lives based on your beliefs of a religion they don't believe in, right? That's what people are saying. The straw man that people are saying that Christianity is irrelevant is nonsense. No one is saying that.
Editing Blue Note. I don't even comment upon the fact that they are so talentless over in r/conservative that they had to use AI to make a Wojak meme. They can't even use MS Paint to make a Wojak meme. I just needed to say that. I realize I don't say that in the original recording. I needed to say that. That's shocking.
20-year-old student given F after calling belief in multiple genders demonic. Files discrimination complaint. A University of Oklahoma student has filed a religious discrimination complaint after receiving a failing grade on her psychology assignment, where she argued that the belief in multiple genders is demonic and contrary to her Christian faith. According to the reports, the student, Samantha Fulnecki, says she was penalized not for academic quality, but for her religious viewpoint. She claims her professor refused to accept faith-based reasoning while allowing pro-gender theory arguments from other students without issue. Now, if she believes that based on her faith, that's one thing. However, arguing that she failed not based on academic credit, but because of her religion is nonsense, okay? You're doing a psychology degree, a degree rooted in science, in psychology. Arguing that psychology has religious and demonic basis is inherently anti-academic, okay? A faith-based answer based on a religion that cannot be proven to be true true has no place in an academic argument about psychology. You cannot argue that multiple genders are demonic in a science-based psychology degree. That's not how that works. No, you are not being failed based on your faith. You are being failed on the complete lack of a scientific argument. Like, I shouldn't be surprised that she can't comprehend that. She's doing a psychology degree and she's failing based on her religious views. People like her want to be the victim so hard, right? They want to be the victim so hard, yet she's victimizing other people. She's claiming that people existing is demonic, and yet she's claiming that she's being discriminated against for saying that. The irony cannot be lost on anybody, right? Also, I really need to put it out there, okay? Even if you believe what she believes, even if you believe that there are only two genders, that's still multiple genders. So is that demonic? Is believing that there are only men and women demonic? Because that's still two genders. And that also doesn't write off trans people. That doesn't write off male to female or female to male trans people, because those still fall into the two genders. And it's still multiple genders. Two is still more than one, which makes it multiple. It's wrong because there are more than that, but it's still multiple. I just received my sovereign license plates. Private automobile, exempt. Sovereign citizen, no driver license or insurance required. Free man. These are the dumbest things I've ever seen. I mean, if you never drive your car off of private property, if the only place you drive your car is private property that you own, then sure, you don't technically need a license, right? I believe that's how it works. I think that's how it works in the UK as well, right? Like, if you only ever drive a car that you own on your own private property that you own, you don't need a license. However, the second you drive on a public road, endangering members of the public and other people, yes, you need a license. Like, as soon as it's not just you who is at risk, as soon as you are putting other people at risk, you need a license. And no, putting a license plate on your car that says exempt and free man, the police aren't gonna see that and go, ah, well, he invokes the magic words free man and sovereign citizen. There's nothing we can do. This will hold up in court. That's it. We can't do anything more about it. That's not how that works. That's not, these aren't magic words you invoke and suddenly the law no longer applies to you. If anything, the police are going to see you and go, that's an easy mark. That's a person who's not smart enough to defend themselves in court. Congratulations. You have made yourself the first person to get pulled over by every single police officer. Big spoiler warning. If you have not watched Stranger Things, skip to this timestamp because this is big spoilers, okay? Do that.
Woke ruins everything. Netflix decided to ruin their most popular show of all time, Stranger Things, by focusing their final season on Will coming out as a homosexual, promoting the propaganda that Will's superpowers are because he's embraced his sexuality, and the villain telling Will that his friends won't like him if they find out he likes dudes. The majority of America is sick of this LGBTQ nonsense in shows and movies. Enough!
Now, there's a few things to take apart here. First of all, Will isn't even the first gay character in the show. Like, have they just forgotten Robin exists? Completely forgotten that Robin exists. Second of all, it's been hinted at that Will's been gay for like the entire show. This isn't new news. This isn't new in any way. However, yes, I acknowledge the fact that conservatives are completely media illiterate and cannot read any kind of nuance unless that nuance is a frying pan smacking them in the face with the words "I'm gay" written on it, right? If it's anything less than that, they can't understand it. But third of all, they've misunderstood the whole scene completely anyway. Being gay isn't what gave Will his powers. It is explicitly stated that Will gets his powers from Vecna, right? He hasn't gotten his powers because he's gay. And embracing his sexuality isn't giving him stronger powers, and at no point does it ever insinuate that. What this show is talking about is, one, it is set in the 80s, a time where being gay was very much frowned upon, right? Coming out as gay was very risky in the 80s for anybody. It wasn't a good time for gay people. It was risky as fuck. So there's that. So the reality that his friends and family wouldn't accept him for being gay was so real in the 80s. I mean, it's real now, but it was even more so in the 80s. And the whole point of this was they are going to confront the main villain. A main villain that can enter your mind and play into all of your insecurities and fears. For Will, a gay person who hasn't come out yet, one of his biggest fears and insecurities is that his friends and family finding finding out he is gay would mean he would lose everybody he cares about. A very real concern for gay people, right? And Vecna plays into that. So Will decides, so that he can eliminate that fear completely, he can make it so that Vecna could not possibly play on that insecurity, he will come out to all of his friends and family, who promptly accept him because it's the right thing to do. This doesn't make his powers stronger. This doesn't add some propaganda about gay people. It's simply making it so that the villain can't enter his mind and play upon this as an insecurity. That's the whole purpose. The facts that conservatives are completely incapable of reading into that or any other nuance about this entire show based on any other queer character or suggestion of a queer character does not surprise me. It does not surprise me in any way.
The laughter and embarrassment. George Orwell would be spinning in his grave if he watched their pathetic new woke version of his literary classic, Animal Farm. Orwell was staunchly anti-socialist. Everyone knows that, except the snowflakes, of course, because they are utterly clueless. How do you F up the core message of Animal Farm so badly? George Orwell's Animal Farm, given woke revamp as new adaptation targeting capitalism, sparks outrage. Orwell must be spinning in his grave.
These people never read a single Orwell book, right? Like that's gotta be true, right? Because fuck me. First of all, Orwell is an incredible author because he can simultaneously get his books banned by capitalists for being communist and by communists for being capitalist, right? He's unique in that fact. He opposed authoritarianism and corruption in ruling, right? However, Orwell literally went to fucking Spain to fight on the side of socialism. He literally wrote the words, "I have seen wonderful things and at last really believe in socialism." Additionally, Orwell joined the staff at Tribune magazine as a literary editor, and from then on until his death was a left-wing, though hardly orthodox, Labour-supporting democratic socialist. Orwell spent most of his life as a socialist. He fought a fucking war in a different country for socialists, arguing that Orwell was staunchly anti-socialist. He was anti-Stalinism. It's important to remember he was anti-Stalinism, but claiming he was anti-socialist is fucking ridiculous. And it shows that these people have never read a single one of his books. Ever. Somalia first. Proud to be from Somalia.
Okay, buddy, back to Somalia you go. OMG, no, this is unfair. Don't send me to Somalia. OMG, no, my life is ruined.
So I think it stands to reason, right? Any reasonable person would appreciate that if you live in any country where you have your life set up, you have a house, you have a job, you have property, you have a family, you live in any country with those things, and you get forced to move to a different country, regardless of what that other country is. You have no job, no house, potentially your family isn't coming with you. I think anybody would consider that their life being ruined, right? Even if you are Somalian and you like Somalia, but you live in America and you get moved back to Somalia, that would be ruining your life. The same could be said in the opposite direction. If you live in Somalia and you have a house and family and a job and you get forced to go to America, that would be ruining your life, right? I think any reasonable person would accept that. But also, I think any reasonable person would accept that if you live in a country but you have family and heritage from other countries, you should be allowed to celebrate that heritage, right? Like, let's not forget, okay? Americans constantly celebrate their Irish heritage and their Italian heritage, right? The entire white population of America is from other countries, right? Every single white person in America has heritage from other countries. That's an indisputable fact. But suddenly, if a person who has family from Somalia goes, "I'm proud to be Somalian," suddenly that's a problem. You know why it's a problem to conservatives? Because that person's brown. That's it. That's the whole reason they have a problem with it. It's because that person's brown. They're allowed to celebrate their heritage from other countries, but as soon as a brown person does it, now it's a problem. Oh my god, I woke up to this beautiful snow.
A trans girl tries to be normal after celebrating a murderer and supporting terrorists. Does it get harder and harder waking up every day?
What a weird thing to say to someone. A woman posts, "Hey, it snowed in my area," and this person's immediate response is to harass them for no other reason than they are trans. And they're claiming that they're the normal person and that she's the freak, not them harassing her for posting a picture of snow. This woman clearly lives rent-free in their head, like completely rent-free in their head, that this is their reaction to that post.
I'm the kind of punk who goes against the grain. This is why I never got vaccinated and wear this Comrade Obama shirt, which I tried to tie-dye, but it didn't really work. Sorry, before I even continue, it looks like his shirt is covered in piss. Anyway, my point is that conservatives are the new punk rock. Also, notice I also use my real name here, even though I'm known as Lib Crusher in most goth and emo scenes.
Oh god. There is nothing that could possibly be less punk than being conservative. Simply put, being conservative is fundamentally, at its basic level, anti-punk. You can't be a conservative and be a punk. I'm sorry, I hate to be the person who gatekeeps. I don't like gatekeeping, but this is just a fact. Like, this isn't me gatekeeping going, oh, you're not punk enough. This is me saying that if you are conservative, you inherently stand for everything anti-punk. If you are punk, you stand for anti-conservatism. These two things don't go together. If you ask any punk artist or member of any punk community whether they like or support Donald Trump, they're gonna say no, right? Because being conservative and being punk are opposites. They are at odds with each other. They don't combine. I find it hilarious how many conservatives have realized that conservative scenes are so inherently uncool that they need to try and invade other scenes, right? They need to try and claim that being conservative is punk and we should be in these punk spaces when they just don't. It's not punk. It couldn't be further from punk. If you want to be punk, be a punk. But you can't do that if you're conservative. But that is where I'm going to end the video, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed. As I mentioned earlier, if you would like to support me in making more content like this, then I have a Patreon in the description down below, or equally you can click on that join button on the channel to support me. It helps a lot more than you might realize, but by no means should you feel like you have to. I'm going to keep making content regardless. But when I say it helps a lot more than you might realize, like genuinely, currently it is one of my main sources of income and money is tight right now. And £1 a month genuinely equates to like 1,000 views on a video, right? Like if not more. So genuinely supporting even that small, if everybody did that, the amount of money would be enough to get me by easily, right? Easily. I wouldn't need to be looking for other work. I could focus on YouTube full time. However, I appreciate, especially right now, everything is in shambles. The economy is in shambles. You've got people like Donald Trump in power. Money's tight for everyone, right? So I appreciate that not everyone can do that. And I totally appreciate you just watching my video, honestly. So thank you to everybody that does. And I'm going to keep making content. But a huge, massive special thank you to all of the wonderful YouTube members and patrons that do support me. All of your names are up on screen right now. It genuinely helps so much, and it genuinely means so much. So thank you to everybody that does, genuinely. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Peace out.